Welcome back to Monday Morning Mojo. If you're listening to this while getting ready or driving to work, or maybe just stealing a few quiet minutes for yourself, I just want you to know I'm really glad you're here. Last week, we talked about slowing down before jumping into goals and creating more objectives for your goals, and really talked about creating space instead of pressure. And today, I just want to talk with you, not at you, but I want to talk with you about something that's been very real for me. And that's the idea of elevation. And it's really more than just getting to my next level. And it's really about understanding how I can rise above and continue to grow. And for me to understand that my growth is probably starting on the inside. It's that kind of growth that happens really before anyone else notices. And I'm sure you've been there too. So for me, I spent a lot of time at the end of last year, as I shared with you on the pod here, about my process that I go through at the end of every year. And part of that process was to choose my word of the year. And this year in 2026, my word is elevate. And for me, elevation isn't about waking up one day and deciding to just reinvent myself. It's really more of an awareness that I'm continuing to evolve and maybe I've outgrown some things, and that's okay. And those things might include certain patterns or expectations, certain ways of showing up that used to feel right, but maybe just doesn't work for me anymore. And if you know where I'm coming from, it might be the same time for you. And if you know that feeling, it's where you're rooted in gratitude. You know you're doing well, you're functioning, you're capable. But somewhere there's that quiet voice that says, I think you're meant for more. I think there's another level here. And if you're willing to rise into it, great things can come. That's sort of where I'm feeling and how I'm feeling about this year. And that's why elevate felt like such an important word for me. And I think a lot of us can enter any new year feeling a lot of expectations and excitement and feeling like you have to charge forward into the new year with full force. And you've got new plans and you have this new energy and you want to create a lot of momentum. And that's great. And I want you to continue to focus on that. But what if the season that we're all in right now wasn't just about speed? And it was about also just refining and getting clear and making sure that we are always developing and becoming the person we are meant to be as we go after our goals and want to achieve more. I don't know. For me, I don't feel like elevation isn't always about adding more. For me, this word this year is about choosing differently. And listen, guys, if you know me, you know I have big goals, and that is just how I'm wired. And that's probably not going to change. But I think for me, it's not just rising above and breaking through and having more and doing more. I think for me right now, the significance is really paying attention to how I'm feeling in the process and how I'm making everyone else feel around me. Elevation in my own life is about pausing before I start pushing. And I think for me, it's about possibly even saying no to some things and not feeling I have to explain it either. I think for me, it's also about protecting my energy more intentionally and noticing whatever might feel heavy. So I can ask myself, why am I carrying it? And I think that for me is what is going to make this year different. And look, it's interesting because none of that shows up on a vision board per se. It's really about being much more introspective and realizing the parts of myself that I want to continue to develop, the parts of myself that maybe I want to let go and change just a little bit. And that's not to say I don't accept myself, but I think there are always parts of ourselves that we realize may not be serving us. And for me, like holding on to any limiting beliefs or having such high energy on that urgency frequency, that frequency that just leads to some burnout. I would much rather look at how I'm taking the time to think and be strategic. And really, I think planning that is going to allow me to go bigger and allow me to get bigger results. So let me ask you guys something. It's just me and you here, right? Where do you feel like you're being pulled or invited to rise? Because that's really how it started for me at the end of last year when I got clear that this was the word for me, elevate. Where do you feel like you need to rise to your next level? And not in a way that is overwhelming or scary, but in a way that just feels really honest, in a way that really feels true. And maybe it's in how you lead. Maybe it's in how you speak up. Maybe it's in how you're taking care of yourself personally. Maybe it's in what you're no longer willing to tolerate. And you don't need to name it perfectly at this moment, but I think that this is your opportunity to pay attention and notice it. Because elevation isn't about becoming someone else, it's about becoming more of yourself. It's about choosing you first and not feeling guilty about that. It might be about choosing clarity over chaos and being more intentional rather than feeling like you're always on autopilot. And it might be choosing to go deeper sometimes and really make deeper connections. So I think that sometimes elevation can be loud, but I feel like for me right now, it's being purposeful and somewhat quiet. It's the moment I realize I can't go back to who I was because I've grown so much. And I have really come to accept so much about my growth and who I am. And it feels good. So if you take anything from this episode, let it be this. You don't need permission to rise and you don't need to have it all figured out. And more importantly, you are not behind. You are right on time. And maybe elevate's not your word of the year, but I'm going to let you borrow it if you'd like, because elevation is something that we can all benefit from. And remember, it doesn't happen all at once. It happens in the small moments. It happens each day. It happens in the way you talk to yourself. It happens when you keep boundaries and you're not afraid of those boundaries, when you're not willing to explain or apologize for who you are. It's when you know the choices you make are right for you. And all those small moments add up. So, wherever you are today, in your car, in your kitchen, in the middle of your busy life, I hope you give yourself credit for how far you've come before another day rolls into 2026. Remember all that you've accomplished. I hope you allow yourself to imagine now what your next level might feel like. Not just look like, but feel like too. And if elevate means something to you this year, I'm so happy. That's beautiful. And if it doesn't, that's okay. You can choose your own word. What matters is that you honor the version of you that is quietly asking for more. I just want to thank you for spending this time with me today. I don't take it lightly. I know you're busy. That's why this week's episode is a little shorter because I just wanted to drop some of these thoughts. I wanted to share my excitement about my word. I hope that you have chosen yours. If not, in the show notes, we'll link the episode where I shared how you can choose your word of the year. It's not too late to do that. But at any time you need to borrow mine, I think you should because it's such a powerful word. So thanks for being here, and I will see you in the next episode.